Howdy, it's Mr. Pete 222 again, your YouTube shop teacher, and I think I have a treat in store for you today as I take another one of my field trips, and it's going to be a rather lengthy video, 2 parts, over an hour, as I travel well over 100 miles to northern Illinois, almost into Wisconsin, less than a mile from Wisconsin, as I visit the ALUMITANK Company, owned by Terry and Bob Kirkpatrick, and you'll be meeting them here presently. 2 great guys with just so many interesting things that they do, even above and beyond their company, where they make these aluminum tanks for semis and other applications, fuel tanks, oil tanks, and so on. And I'm going to take you through the factory, where they have allowed me total freedom. There's only 1 or 2 things that they did not want me to film, so this really surprised me. But since they own the company, they're co-owners, they're able to have total control over that, and there's no foolishness with people sitting in a boardroom that are going to criticize them, because in fact they are the board when you get right down to it. They have a nice website. It's www.alumitank.com, so look that up and see what some of their products are, but you're going to see all of them in the video. Now, as I leave the house to travel, I'll be picking up my buddy Dwight, who you've seen in many other videos. Is one of my traveling partners. I've got several of them, and he enjoyed the trip just as much as I did. And the interesting thing is that these brothers are also pilots, so they have a small airport there. And Terry is also a consummate woodworker, and I'm going to take you through his shop as well, but that'll have to be the subject of another video. It's just too much to include in one video, but I was really excited to go through their plant. I know I'm jabbering a little bit too long here, but I basically start at the beginning where the raw material is and go right on through where they roll and then weld and test and all of these different operations in aluminum. So you're going to see a robot welding irregularly shaped tanks such as this, and other very interesting processes, many of which were developed by the brothers there in their shop. So without further ado, let's get on with this video, and be sure and watch both parts and watch my 860 other videos. So I'll see you on the road. Howdy once again, it's tubalcain, your YouTube shop teacher. And I'm off on another adventure, another road trip, another field trip. It's about 7 in the morning, and I have about 95 or 100 miles to go, almost to the Wisconsin border from my house. And I'm going to be visiting the AlumiTank Company. I have an invitation to go up there, a long-standing invitation from Terry Kirkpatrick and his brother Bob, who run this plant, and they make fuel tanks and do a lot of TIG welding and have, I hope, some real interesting things up there. They said that I can take my camera and videotape, so I'm going to do just that. Now, I've got about 35 miles to go to pick up my traveling partner, long-time, or I should say lifetime buddy Dwight, whom you've seen in some of the videos, and then we'll go from there, stop and have breakfast or something someplace along the line, and then be up at AlumiTank, I suppose, by about 10:30. So stick with me. It's kind of rainy and cool this morning. It's May 8th or 9th, and the weather still hasn't broken. Very few farmers in the fields. Actually, no farmers in the fields. We've had about 8 inches of rain in the last few weeks, most of it all in 1 or 2 days, and you can see there's still water in the fields, so that's all got to dry out before the spring planting and tilling can occur. A lot of flooding of the rivers and creeks, and most of them are still swollen. Must have been a fire over there. That's the second fire truck that I've seen. Boy, I missed those. A whole bunch over there. don't know what happened. Probably somebody burnt the toast. For those of you who live in other parts of the country, it's incredibly flat here. And this is all farmland, just as flat as a billiard table. So the water has no place to go, and it just sits there. Many of these fields have field tile in them, drainage tile, but that's probably pretty well choked with water right now. But I thought this might be interesting for people in other parts of the world or other parts of the country, arid regions and hilly and mountainous regions, to see how truly flat it is here. But yet drainage is a problem. And I think there's been a lot of government money to provide funds to drain some of these fields. But we have such an abundant harvest, I don't even see the need for it. Because by the end of the summer, into the fall, when they bring the corn in, it's always a bumper crop. They use a lot of chemicals, a lot of fertilizer, a lot of pesticides. I've come 35 miles and I'm in the little town of Leland right now, and this is the town where I visited that machine shop and made the video entitled The Disassembling of America, that many people have watched. So anyway, this is where I'm meeting my buddy here in the decaying downtown. And every small village, every small town in the entire United States looks like this in their downtown area, and you can't hardly buy a loaf of bread in these towns anymore. And there he is. He's always on time. And of course, Dwight's just another old man like me. Morning, Dwight. How are we today? Well, we've come 105 miles and here we are at AlumiTank. Visitor over there. We're a visitor, so I think that's where we'll park.
No problem.
Okay, I'm here in the AlumiTank office, and this is Terry Kirkpatrick, the co-owner, I guess, or president, or what's your title, Terry?
I do most of the maintenance here.
And this is Bob, your brothers.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. And we hope to have a good tour here and take some pictures. And
I think we will. I'm sure we will.
all right.
And we look forward to having you guys look us over here.
All right.
All right.
Good.
Bob, repeat that if you would about when you started the plant here in 19, what was it?
Okay, in 1992 we started AlumiTank.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say started AlumiTank, we didn't produce our first tank then. It took us 3 years just to build the equipment to build the tanks. And it was, some of our equipment to start with was pretty crude, but it did allow us to get into the tank business.
Yes.
And when we had the equipment built, we put an ad in a small magazine, and trucks started to pull in the yard wanting a tank fixed or a new tank built. And so we did. And as we grew out of our first building here. We had to put up a new building that you can see off to our south here. And that's where most of the tank itself is constructed. Our previous building was primarily and is today used for the component parts that go into the tanks.
Brackets and whatnot.
Brackets, and you will see that when we go in there, but say the fill necks and any part that has to be machined or formed along with the brackets and straps are constructed here in Shop 1. And you'll see.
All right, we are in the shop now, and you can see some of the equipment. And it smells good in here. I like the smell of metalworking. All right, we're all in here.
Bob may have already mentioned to you, but this is where two primary functions are performed. Sub-assemblies for the finished tank and all the steel work for brackets, straps, and those other components that are used to hang the finished tank on the truck. Those are done in this building.
In this building.
Yeah. This is design work over in here, Bridgeport and the lathe and some of those other component items. So when we get a prototype and we're trying to develop it, whatever it might be, it's generally done over in this lighted area off to our corner there.
Okay.
Now, Lyle, you'll find this interesting here. This green roll here, we built that because I guess we were kind of poor when we first started. And as you can see, it's a weldment made out of steel tubing. We were fortunate to find a local machining company that was able to turn the big rolls for us. And
it's a big slip roll.
That's correct.
What it is.
But we don't use it as much as we used to because our new roll is a CNC type machine, which we need when we build other than round tanks. If we build square or rectangular tanks.
So there's a curve and then a straight.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So these are what, about 5 or 6 inch rolls?
Yes, it is. And the gearbox and so on came out of a manure spreader. So at that time, we were able to conjure all this up and create a roll that worked for us. It started us, got us into the tank.
And you were very resourceful when you had to be.
Well, we did. This machine that we see here is what makes our straps for us that hold the tank to the side of the vehicle. And this machine is a machine that my son designed and built. And oddly enough, it was made with components that were bought at Farm and Fleet. These cylinders, they had to be cut down in some, but all those things we could do right in-house.
Farm cylinders, basically.
Yep.
Awesome.
So it has a little HMI here that you can put in the number of straps, the type of strap that you want, hit the go button, put a coil of material on the end, and it'll just keep working and working. If you need 20 straps or 50 straps or whatever, after about an hour you can come over here and pick your strap up.
And that's just mild steel that you have in there now?
We do both, Lyle. We do both mild steel and stainless steel.
Oh, stainless.
Both of them. We offer it either way.
But you wouldn't ever make the straps out of aluminum. That wouldn't have the strength.
The only straps that we make out of aluminum, and it's heavier aluminum, is for the Peterbilt style tanks. And we'll show you one of those as we move into the other part over here. But this is a machine very specialized, but it works great for us and what we have to do. As you can see here, the strap has a loop on the end of it. So this machine here, what it does is the piece is put in there into a locator stop. The machine then wraps it around so that we can encompass the T-bolt into it.
I think I saw some of these down at the trade show that
you did.
That Terry had shown to me. And this is the machine that makes that bend.
Yes, Yep.
And here's some of these you probably buy from a supplier.
We do.
From, I suppose, Fastenal.
We buy from Fastenal, and then we have a couple other vendors that we utilize as well. Got into making our own brackets and straps. We had purchased them from outside vendors, and we ran into a problem with them not getting the product to us when we needed it. We had the tanks done, but the brackets and straps were not done. So at that point, we put in a 175-ton press here, and at that machine there, we can form the hat shape, and you can see it here now, the shape that we bend on that. Once that shape is created, it looks like a man's hat. We then take that and we go to this angle rolling machine here, and it rolls the bracket and puts the proper radius in the bracket. And this happens to be a 24-inch diameter tank. You can see they're marked like that.
Oh yeah, 24.
Yeah. So we mix many different types of brackets. Some are a J bracket, we call it, that will mount to the side of the frame of the vehicle, and then the tank itself is then put onto that. A strap is put around it, and the T-bolts tighten up and hold it in place.
Do you buy this raw material pre-cut like that?
We do, and we're very fortunate because there's a company just to the north of us here, Delco Metals, that is a leveling. They bring coils of steel in there, they run it through a machine that straightens it, levels it, and then they will, they also have a slitting machine where they will slit it to the right width for us, and then also cut it to length. That way we minimize our waste.
That's great. And it's all ready to go?
Yes. So we bring it in just as you see it here on the racks. But what this is here, this is a bracket that would go on the side of the tank. The strap would be, the tank would be in here. You see the little clips that are here, they go into a receiving hole, I guess you might say. It's then welded on the back side, but a step goes across here. So if you need to gain access to the truck up into the cab, you obviously have to have a place to step. So this would be the lower step below, and this would be the upper one here.
All right.
Like this.
Yeah.
On a round tank that would be on.
And a nice looking.
Yeah, those are still warm. They're stainless steel.
Stainless
and
steel.
we make the same piece in steel. And then those are powder coated.
Oh, they're powder coated then.
But these stainless will not be. They'll be cleaned and so on. So
I was going to say it'd be a shame to paint over that pretty metal.
Yeah. Plus it wouldn't hold very good on stainless.
Oh, wouldn't it?
No. And we've retired that since time, and basically we use it for other small secondary operations in the plant.
So this machine was used to make the end caps on the tanks and put what he said was a bulge, which would be convex
That's right.
surface. And that stiffened it, gave it strength.
That's right, otherwise it would like oil can, and you don't.
Oh yeah, like on the Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
That's quite a cylinder you got up there.
Well, that came out of a trash compactor someplace in Illinois. We bought two. This area here is where we machine our fill necks and other secondary operations that have to be done on pieces. This machine here would be like what we would thread here, drill and tap for the fuel sending unit.
That looks like a stamping.
It is, and we have a vendor, we own the tooling, and they will stamp the parts that we need. We don't have any stamping equipment here at this point in time. So when it comes from the stamper, though, it is not threaded or drilled, so we perform that secondary operation.
And that was done in this machine?
Yes.
The threading and... Okay. There it is in the fixture.
And the fixturing that we use for these, you can see some of them are over here. And we produce all of those fixtures here in-house.
Yeah, I like those toggle clamps. We always called them Destaco clamps. I don't know if
that's
they...
right. It's the Detroit Stamping Company.
Yes.
Destaco stands for.
Those are handy for woodworkers too.
Oh, they're wonderful. You can get so many different angles of pressure, I guess you might, either down or
Yeah.
forward or pull with them.
I've seen their catalog, and I know they got a complete line.
Oh, wonderful.
And you know, everybody loves a Kennedy chest, so I just have to show these. They love that brown wrinkled finish.
We just added that about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really? All right, so that doesn't even have any smudges on it yet.
No, not yet. Not like the other one next to it.
And of all things, here we got is that a? It is a Gerstner.
What is it?
A Gerstner.
Oh, it is.
And
Okay.
all machinists love that. Now, do I have permission to open this middle?
Absolutely.
You know, in one of my videos, I asked what the purpose of this was. You know, and of course, most people
because
do.
it's kind of deep
But I had a gag. Well, it was for the machinery's handbook. Is really what it was for. But I opened mine and I had a sandwich in there. So someone said that's where they kept their lunch.
Sandwich compartment.
But actually, it's for the machinery handbook.
And this is an interesting part that's getting made right now.
Not running now, though, is it? No.
I believe it's off right now. What's happening here? See how coarse that thread is?
It sure is.
When you fill your car with gasoline, it has that real coarse thread, and then it clicks when it's tight. Well, that's what we're building here for fuel next on a gasoline tank. Most of our tanks are either diesel fuel or hydraulic oil.
Sure.
But this here is for a gasoline vessel.
So
This here would be a standard. He's going to make, yeah, this is the same thing here.
So you guys are in the machine age here with some pretty fancy equipment.
We are. Unfortunately, Terry and I were born too soon, so we're not as savvy on that.
Well, me too. I'm still an old crank man, you know.
Well, I am.
I'm wondering where the cranks are here, you know, instead of the push buttons. But
The young men that work in this area here amaze me. They just pick it up like a kid picks up a ball and starts bouncing it. They know exactly what those buttons do. And,
absolutely, but you're right. We were born too soon.
Yeah. Not that that's bad, it's just the way we are.
And it's just very hard to make that adjustment into this kind of equipment. And I did work on some equipment like this at Caterpillar. They were grinders, but I would say that I never really fully came to my potential.
Yes. Well, the machinery that is available today is just mind-boggling, what it can do and so on. 2 years ago, this is a Mazak laser, and this thing just, I don't know how we got along without it, tell you before. It allows us to make pieces and parts very quickly and to our need. So we will be making a tank for a customer or a bracket or something, and we can, whatever you can draw, this will basically cut to what you need. It's an exciting machine. I personally don't know how to run it, but I go by it every day, and it's just cutting along.
Now, will this do steel or you do strictly aluminum?
Lyle, this machine will cut anything. It'll cut aluminum, steel, brass, wood, rubber, whatever you can imagine.
Right.
It will cut.
And that's all going on.
Yes. And you can barely see any light at all, other than when it comes down and pierces the beam.
Now, you said laser, you didn't say plasma.
No, we have a plasma machine, but that's over in the other building.
All right. So
This
this is laser.
Yeah, this is laser. Basically, it cuts in twice.
Yeah.
The width of the cut is about anywhere from 5 to 10 thousandths of an inch.
Not much of a curve.
Oh, not much of a kerf at all. You can see here that this is where it perforated or went through the piece. Then it went over And then this is the piece that we want. So if we have a blemish, we want it outside the piece that we want. What it is, but it's a special piece with holes in it for a special tank or a baffle or something. Hi, Jim. You can see the difference. The black ones, of course, are steel that are powder coated black. Then you'll see the stainless steel ones that are the shiny ones. Some of those you will see have got steps on them. And I showed you earlier how we'll make the strap, we'll punch the strap in such a fashion that it will accept that clip so that there can be a step incorporated to get the driver in and out of the vehicle. The cardboard boxes here are the brackets, the heavy hat-shaped brackets that you showed you earlier.
And that stuff's all ready to ship.
That's all ready to ship. They'll pull that, they'll pull a strap, the strap section is on, and then they'll be shipped many times right with the tank itself.
Yeah. And this beautiful looking aluminum. Does this even have, is that a masking on there?
It's like a plastic film that they put on there, and the reason we have that put on there for two reasons. This one here is set up so that a laser can cut through that and not foul the tip on the laser.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and it says that it's laser compatible.
Yeah.
Then we also get, we will put this film on here on some of our aluminum that has to be press braked. That way it doesn't guard up or scratch it, it minimizes it.
Sure.
What this is these would be all component parts that go into the tanks.
Oh, these are for fuel gauges.
These up here, you'll see, these are fill necks, and you'll see they're very shiny.
Sure are.
Probably 20% of the tanks that we build will be polished tanks. So owner-operators and so on that are very concerned about how their truck looks, they want it polished. So we'll provide a polished tank.
Well, I know some of these truckers have beautiful vehicles, and they want chrome and they want lights on everything. And,
Yes.
And so that
They're very concerned.
tank neck there would appeal to that. Are you doing the buffing here in-house? Or?
We do on these, and you will see that after we get together building. This particular neck here is goes on a Peterbilt style of tank. You can see the 3 notches that are in here. Peterbilt utilizes a cap that has a bayonet type base where it goes into the fill neck, it turns slightly, and then it has a cam over lever that seals it up against this top neck here.
All right.
So that's for Peterbilt. The one that's up above it is for a Kenworth.
What'd you say, a Kenworth?
Yes, this is for a Kenworth truck. Kenworth is a little different. They use a threaded neck, and we repair a lot of tanks, so we find weak spots in the OE equipment. One of which was on Kenworth. They take this sheet metal and they're able to form the skirt and also roll the threads right into that same piece of metal. And it works great for many years, but after a period of time it will break down this edge. So what we do is we put this in our CNC. It's a piece of Schedule 40 aluminum tube. We'll cut the threads for it. Then we marry the two together, put that into a fixture which turns, and we heliarc the inside piece to the outside skirt. Then pressure check this so that it does not leak around this area here. And then of course that then gets put into the tank. So different things that we found through the years to make that product better so it holds up. Stands here.
This is a piece of art.
It almost looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like that Christmas tree.
That's what I was thinking.
But what these are these would be the draw tubes that would go into, in this particular one it would be a Kenworth style. This is the top of the tank here, and this would be the draw and the return for the fuel to go back and forth. This area here is where the sending unit would go into the vehicle. This here would be a vent possibly. Some of them are configured different. But the reason we created this style of a rack was that they are so uneasy or unable to stack these very well, but now we can put them onto these racks, and in doing over in the other department here, did you notice this here?
I knew that this would be of interest to you. We had a truck driver one time that came home after he'd made a run, and he said, I've got something I think you guys would be interested in. He said, I got it on a garage sale. And here was this old machinist cabinet. And that was probably 30 years ago, and it has sat there ever since, and it houses various odds and ends of things that we work with.
All they are.
This assembly here was a piece of machinery. I don't know what type of machinery it was. We acquired it from a scrap dealer. We saw its value as it laid in the scrap yard. We brought it in here, and we can use it as an anvil. We can weld on it. It is indestructible.
So I take it when you put some work in the vise and use a hand hacksaw, this bench isn't going to jiggle on it.
It never has moved yet. If it does, we need to take note of the guy that's running the hacksaw.
I mean, this thing's got to weigh several tons.
It's extremely heavy. It hasn't moved 1 inch since we set
I
it.
bet you. And of course, they got the venerable Bridgeport.
You know all about that.
Oh yeah. There's not a shop that is complete without a Bridgeport. I wish I had the power drive on mine.
Vertical for the
And oh, you got it on the vertical
knee.
too.
Yeah,
Because that's the one that is tiresome when you got to crank the knee up.
It is. We modified this as opposed to the crank assembly, and it gives us the ability to kind of run the finite side of things a little bit, but for the most part, the vertical functions quite nicely.
That's for
And
sure.
It's easy to run.
And here's the Ellis drill press that you were talking about. And with a variable speed control. I wasn't aware that they made one.
The base unit itself is not a real high quality piece of equipment. I think it's probably made offshore, I'm sure it is. But this portion right here is invaluable, and we use it to tap with. We've gone to the Albright chuck on it here.
Which
is a lot easier to function with than having to use the key all the time. I really like that.
Can you run this at the slowest speed real briefly?
It's a great story though.
And would it have a pretty good torque at that?
I think it probably does. I can't stop it.
All right, then it does. If you can't,
Yeah.
because that's the problem that I found with some of mine where I put a control. I lost all the torque at the lower RPM, so that looks like a good unit.
We found that once we attach what we're tapping to the table, so there's no movement whatsoever, we can go in, do the tap, and then back out of it in reverse and not have to worry about snapping that tap off. We can do it here as well, but it requires us to go in back, I think you call it back gear, the low gear.
It does.
And it has enormous torque then, because we outfitted this also with the freak drive. So we can run this at all sorts of different speeds. There's about one of the lower one on the high speed.
Yeah.
So, and it's set up, of course, with a reverse, so it runs either direction.
And then over here we got a nice lathe. What's the make on this, Terry?
You know what? I can't even tell you. I should know that, but I don't. Hendley.
Oh, it's a Hendy.
Hendy.
Yeah, my brother used to operate a Hendy
that right?
in a shop. Yeah, I recognize the name. I never ran one, but I know that's a gear-headed lathe. It's a heavy one.
We use that. We have 4-jaw over here on the floor that fits the Hendy, but for the most part, everything is 3-jaw. This is the greatest thing that ever came to a lathe.
You aren't kidding.
Now this is a knockoff, this is not an Oris, but it's still...
I've got several knockoffs as well,
Yeah.
as a real Aloris, but they still function quite well, I found.
They work so well.
Yeah.